When Daniel Foster glanced at the clock above the warehouse office, it was only 3:17 p.m., but to him it felt like midnight. His back ached from lifting crates since dawn, and his phone buzzed in his pocket for the fourth time that hour. He wiped his hands on his faded navy work pants and checked the screen. "Don't forget, Dad." 5:30, front row, the message read. He smiled despite the exhaustion. "I won't," he whispered. Daniel was 32, with tired hazel eyes and a permanent crease between his brows that hadn't been there 5 years ago. Since his wife passed away, he had been everything to his 8-year-old daughter, Lily: mother, father, cook, homework tutor, nightmare chaser. And tonight mattered. Lily had her first school recital, and she had one line. One sentence she'd practiced for weeks. At 3:25, Daniel knocked on the glass door of the office overlooking the warehouse floor. "Come in," came the cool reply. Inside sat Veronica Hale, the regional operations manager. 38, sharp cheekbones, perfectly styled dark bob, charcoal blazer over a silk blouse. She held authority the way others held coffee, firmly and constantly. A slim cigarette rested unlit between her fingers, a habit she indulged only when stressed. "Yes, Daniel?" she asked without looking up from her laptop. He cleared his throat. "Ms. Hale, I was hoping to leave a bit early today. Around 4. Now she looked up. 4? Her brow arched slightly. "Your shift ends at 6. I know. I'll make up the hours Saturday. I have a date." The word hung in the air. Her expression changed, almost imperceptibly. A blink. A tightening of her jaw. "A date," she repeated. Daniel nodded, trying to sound casual. "Yeah. Important one." For a moment, the office felt smaller. Veronica leaned back slowly in her chair. "That's sudden." He shrugged lightly. "Not really." Silence settled between them. The hum of forklifts outside seemed louder. Veronica stood, walked to the window, and stared down at the workers moving boxes. "You've requested time off 3 times this month." "For Lily," he said gently. "I'm aware." He waited. Finally, she reached into her drawer, pulled out a lighter, and lit the cigarette. She didn't smoke often, but when she did, it meant something unsettled her. "You're one of my most reliable employees," she said after a drag. "I count on you. I won't let you down." "That's not what I'm worried about." He frowned slightly. "Then what is it?" She didn't answer. Instead, she studied him, the broad shoulders, the quiet steadiness, the way he always stayed late without being asked. The way he never complained. "I didn't realize you were seeing someone," she said. Daniel gave a small, tired laugh. "I'm not." Another drag. "Then this date?" "It's my daughter's recital," he said softly. The cigarette froze midair. "What?" "Front row. 5:30, she's been practicing every night in the kitchen." His voice warmed. "She gets nervous if I'm not there." Veronica stared at him as if recalculating something. "You called that a date?" "It is." He smiled. "Best one I've got." The silence that followed was different this time. She stubbed out the cigarette slowly, eyes still on him. "You could have just said that." "I know." He shifted his weight. "But when I say recital, people hear optional. When I say date, they think it matters." Her lips parted slightly, then closed. "4 o'clock," she said finally. "Be here at 7 tomorrow." "I will." "Thank you." He turned to leave. "Daniel." He paused at the door. "Does she know how hard you work?" He hesitated, then nodded. "She sees enough." After he left, Veronica remained standing by the window. She hadn't meant to feel that twist in her chest when he said date. She hadn't expected the flicker of jealousy either. Somewhere between approving overtime sheets and watching him carry double loads without complaint, she had started noticing him. And tonight, she had assumed the worst. She lit another cigarette, then changed her mind and put it out immediately. At 5:28 p.m., Daniel slid into a tiny auditorium seat in the front row, still wearing his work boots and a hastily changed clean shirt. Lily stood backstage, peeking through the curtain. When she saw him, her entire face lit up. That was the moment Veronica would never see, but somehow, she imagined it. The next morning, Daniel arrived at exactly 6:58 a.m. Veronica was already in her office. He knocked once. "Morning." She looked up, composed as ever. "How was your date?" He grinned. She nailed her line. "Good." A pause. "I'm glad you went," she added, almost too quietly to hear. He nodded, then turned to start his shift. From behind the glass, Veronica watched him for a moment longer than necessary. Not with jealousy this time, but with something softer. Respect. Maybe even admiration. She picked up her phone, opened her calendar, and blocked off Thursday evening. When her sister had invited her to her son's soccer game weeks ago, Veronica had declined, too busy. Now she wasn't so sure. She glanced at the warehouse floor again, at the single dad who called a recital a date so the world would treat it seriously. And for the first time in years, she wondered what she might be missing while staying late.